So what happens when delegation fails? We as leaders, we've all been through that before where we delegate a task or we delegate leadership in something, and then weeks go by or months go by, and then we go, oh my gosh, things are not going well. They're not happening the way that we want. The results aren't being driven. And then we are tempted as leaders to fly back in and solve the problem. Well, in this episode of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, I'm going to walk through something called the RACI method. And I'm going to teach you how to master the RACI method and how to delegate when traditional delegation fails. So if you're watching this on the YouTube version, amazing. You're going to have some eye candy and one of my frameworks and models. If you're listening to this on the podcast episode, I'd encourage you, after you listen to it, head over to YouTube so you can see the visuals of how I actually map out a RACI matrix. Hey guys, my name is Trevor Mauch. I'm the CEO of Carrot.com. I'm an investor and entrepreneur. And over the years, I've had the pleasure and the challenge of growing through as a leader. At Carrot.com, my primary company, we have over 50 employees today. And every single time we've grown as a leader, every single time that we've hit challenges in the business and we've had to hire different people, whether it's directors or managers or VPs or C-level employees, I've hit challenges on delegation. And recently, I ran across a model called the RACI method. I'm going to walk you through and how it's really helped to transform some of the relationships at the leadership level and how you can really bake it into the whole company to help people get insanely clear of what they own, what they don't own, and to give you a clear path as the entrepreneur to delegate yourself out of the things that drain your energy confidently so the business can still be driven forward without you stressing it out. Okay. So I'm going to dive into the iPad here. And like I said, if you're listening to this on the podcast side of things, amazing. You're still going to get amazing value. But this episode relates to anybody that has any team members. Okay, I don't care if you have just one team member or you've got hundreds. Now, where this is really going to be most impactful is probably the businesses that are near or crossing over the $1 million mark. Sub $1 million or sub 300,000, where you might have an outsourced person or a VA or a part-time EA. You can get value from this for sure, but it might be an overkill for where you are. But once you cross over $1 million, and we really need to start to move from performer on our Entrepreneur Freedom Formula levels matrix that we talk about here. You want to move from performer to builder. We have to now have a clear path to move ourselves out of those seats. Okay, so diving in here in the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, everything is built off of this model called the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. Go check it out at trevormauch.com/freedom. You can see the graphic there. You can see my entrepreneur levels from 0 to 10 million plus, and where and how you need to grow as a CEO and entrepreneur as you grow. What we're going to be talking about on this part of it is really on the delegation side. It's on the energy and time portion of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. As we build up a business, we get consistent results in the business. Then we start to just feel like we don't have time. We start to feel like tasks are draining our energy. While the business is driving forward, we have this weird dichotomy of like, oh my gosh, it's amazing that it's working, but I don't want to show up to work every day because I'm doing things now that I don't like to do. And this is where we need to get really disciplined on buying back that time with delegating the correct way. But so what happens when delegation doesn't work well? Well, I'm going to walk you through a couple of the things that I've experienced as a leader that kind of shine a light on when delegation is done wrong. Okay. So the first thing is we start out as entrepreneurs responsible for everything. And as we grow, if we continue to be responsible for everything, that's when growth grinds to a halt. And that's challenges I've had over the years too, where we delegate tasks but have a hard time delegating results, or we delegate tasks but have a real hard time delegating strategy. We can no longer be responsible for everything. Okay. But when we are, it really weighs us down. So what happens next is we then start to go, man, I can't be responsible for everything. So let me hire some people and let me delegate. And let me say, hey, you own this thing. You own this thing. Here's a goal and go get it. And if you need me for anything, I'll be over here. But here's the challenge. Oftentimes, our team members aren't going to come to us with their problems unless we've created an environment and really a process where that's just baked into the way that we communicate, baked into the cadence of how we meet, of being available for them to bring those questions and bring those challenges so we can coach them through it. Okay. So we end up having confusion on who owns what. I thought that I delegated ownership to that person. I thought they were clear that they owned that thing. And we even use the word ownership. And then that person's like, well, yeah, I think I kind of own it, or I didn't realize I own it at all. And we're all throwing up our hands and wondering why the result doesn't happen. I literally just got off a meeting with part of my team where we're growing through and wrestling through this dynamic on the team side of it, and one of our teams at the company. And it's just an opportunity to get clear on who owns what. The next thing is we start to lose confidence. The team loses confidence in us because we're challenging them hard, or we're micromanaging, or we're sailing in to save things. Yeah, but then also we have confidence issues with the team then, because we're going, the result is not being driven. I don't know if I have the right team, right? I don't know if these are the right people. And they may or may not be, but if they're not clear who owns what, or what parts of that thing that they own and they don't, and what parts you still want to be involved in and what parts you don't, and how you want to be involved in it and how you don't, then it's going to create this massive confusion. It may actually not be the team member. It may be this, we just didn't create the environment for clarity. Okay. And then next, it falls back on us. We take the monkey back on our back. All right. And I've shared a few of those stories that I've gone through, and I'll kind of share another one or two as we go. But here's the promise. When we start to step into adopting the RACI method or something like this to gain clarity on ownership, gain clarity in where you want to be involved and where you don't want to be involved, and how you want to be consulted and where you don't, and how you want to be informed and where you don't. If we don't do that, then we don't have clarity. So this is going to help you get clarity on who owns what. And we're going to go deeper probably than maybe you've ever gone. Okay, next, we want to help you have a confident delegation path, to be able to confidently know that if they're the right people, you will be able to hand off ownership in the right areas to them confidently. And you can sit in the seat that you get the most energy, that you enjoy the most. Here at Carrot, one of the programs that I run as CEO is our high-level program called the EPIC program. You guys can go to carrot.com/epic if you're in real estate or the home services industry. And it's one of the things I get the most energy out of. Like I get to hang out with our members who are doing about $250,000 to $10 million plus, to help them grow through those pain lines and those business levels with more confidence, more clarity, and more momentum. And one of the big challenges that comes up in that group, especially when you get close to or above $1 million, is people do stall out. And usually they stall out because of what we're talking about today. So we want to be able to successfully replace ourselves in those areas that drive the business forward but drive our energy down. And we want to move more and more into the production work, the things that give us energy. Okay. So this is something that my coach and friend Dan Martell taught to me a number of years ago. He has an amazing book called Buy Back Your Time. If you guys haven't got that book yet, check it out. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And he has the drip matrix inside of there. Well, this is the first step to really understanding what and how and where you should step out of ownership, and how and where you can bring another team member into owning a part of the business. Okay. And I'm not talking equity, I'm talking responsibilities. So in the drip matrix, you have the north-south, which is the amount of money or the revenue driving potential that activity has. And then the east-west or side-to-side is the energy. Does it give you energy, or does it take energy away? And what we want to do is, on a monthly basis, or anytime we get burnt out or stressed out, we want to make a list of all the things that drain our energy and don't really drive revenue forward. That's in the delegation bucket. That's in the D in the drip matrix. Okay. The D in the delegation drip matrix. Those are the very first things. Okay. We want to take the list of things, and those are things we create a training process for, and then we hand it off to the person. We coach them. Okay. And then we transition ownership over that task over a period of time, over them shadowing you and then you shadowing them and them owning the process. You can confidently delegate those tasks. Okay. But then the hardest part for us to delegate tends to be in the replacement bucket, the part that drives the business forward, drives revenue, but drains your energy if you have to own it or do all the work. And what I want to do is every month and every quarter, write down what are the things that drive the business forward. But I like parts of it. I get energy from parts of it. But in general, I can't really own it all, or I don't like this, or maybe you don't like any parts of it. And you go, man, this is not sustainable for the long term, but someone's got to do it because it drives the business forward. Write those down. Early on for me, when I was starting Carrot, it was writing long format blog posts. A lot of our revenue was driven by long format blog posts early on. And I would write 1,500 word or 2,000 word articles that would rank really, really well in Google, would bring us customers, but it drained my energy. I would stay up until 2, 3 in the morning the night before the deadline of that article to get it done because I was avoiding it and delaying it and avoiding it and delaying it. And I was pretty good at it. It drove revenue, but man, it was not something I enjoyed to do every part of it. I enjoyed parts of it. I enjoyed the strategy, the brainstorming, the ideation, but then I really wanted someone else to do the work. So I wrote that down, long format blogs. Okay. And then I go, okay, this quarter, that's the number one thing I'm going to start to delegate ownership over of. And I need to get insanely clear where I want to be involved, where I want that person to own and make decisions, and where I want to make decisions. So then I can replace that time, that 3 hours or 5 hours or 8 hours a week, with something that gives me energy and drives the business forward, which for me, that's strategy, that's partner relations, that's developing product, developing strategy on content, the whole thing. All right, so once we're clear on that, the very next thing that we need to do to make the RACI model real is we need to understand the functions of our business. And the very first step I'm going to have you do is write down what are all of the different parts of your business? What are all the different functions of your business? What are the different things that happen? Okay, you have marketing and you have sales and you have product development, or you have delivery or customer success, or in real estate for our primary members here at Carrot.com that we work with, we're the number one platform for helping generate motivated house sellers, cash buyers in the world for real estate investors and agents. And we're going into home services heavily as well to help you dominate Google and attract more of the top clients. Well, right here, wholesaling and flipping as an example, there's lead generation part of the business, there's lead management, there's acquisitions, there's dispositions, which is selling the contract, there's rehabilitation or the flipping part of it, the construction part, there's finance and accounting, there's legal and compliance, there's ops and admin, there's the sales part of it, which is selling the retail property, and there's customer service. Now, here's the deal. Even if you're a one-man or one-woman show, flipping and wholesaling, all of these parts of the business are still in the business. They might just all be you. It might be you doing all of them, right? And that's okay. That's okay in the early days. But as we grow, we need to start to be able to hand off things that drain our energy but drive the business forward to other people to own. So there's other people out here that own things that you are now consulting with to help drive. Because that's the first thing. We have to start to map out what are the functions of our business and what are the major responsibilities or systems within that function. Okay. And the very next thing now is once we understand the functions in our business. So like a software company, once again, it's going to be marketing. Okay. That's lead generation. Then it's going to be sales, and it's going to be product and engineering. And it's going to be customer experience, which is customer success and support. And it's going to be ops admin, and it's going to be finance. Okay. So those are different functions of our software company. Once we determine that, now we have to understand the different levels of ownership. This is the key that I got wrong for so many years. And this is the key that I tend to find wrong whenever we find ownership issues or delegation challenges, even within my own businesses. We have to ask the question first is who is responsible for the work? That's the R in RACI. Okay, responsible is the person who is assigned to complete the task. It's the person actually doing the work. Okay, the next part on RACI is the A. It's who's accountable. Who is accountable to do the work? The person ultimately accountable for tasks being completed. They're not doing them, but they've got to make sure that they are being done and done satisfactorily and driving towards the goal. It's the person who delegates the work to someone else likely and reviews the outcome. They're really responsible for the end final decision on that. Now, here's the deal. As you're a smaller company or an early entrepreneur, you're probably going to be responsible and accountable for a lot of things. You're going to be accountable for the marketing plan, and you might be executing the marketing plan. You're responsible for it. So in many of these cases, in smaller companies, you're going to be both the R and the A, the responsible and the accountable. Or as you grow, you're still going to be the R and the A for certain things. And I'm going to show you how to move to the right into the other parts to really delegate effectively. Next is consultant. It's the person who needs to be consulted or whose input is necessary or desired to complete the task. I look at it as the topic expert, right? Who is or who are the topic experts on that thing? So let's say you're a real estate investor and you are an amazing salesperson, but you've got a sales team or you've got a sales leader. You might not be responsible for the sales calls anymore. You're not making the calls. You might make a few here and there, but you're not responsible for making them in the pipeline. You're not even accountable for making sure that they get done and making sure that we hit the goals. You have someone hired to do that. You have a leader hired to do that, but you want to be consulted. You said, hey, once a week, let's hop on and we're going to do a game tape review. And I'm just going to be a coach. I'm going to be a resource. Bring me the questions, bring me the challenges. I'll help coach you. That's consulted. The last one is informed. Informed is the lowest level. That's the level that you start to move towards, and that ideally, we all want to move more and more towards the consulted and the informed bucket. Okay. Out of the parts where we're doing the work, out of the parts where even we're responsible for making sure the work happens, into the areas where we're consulted in the parts that give us energy, and we're informed in the areas that are the most important. Okay. The informed is the person or people who need to be kept informed about something. It could be about a project. It could be about goals. It could be about a scorecard. It could be about any number of things. Okay. So let's dig into what this actually looks like. And this is where the rubber meets the road. I'm going to show you the RACI metrics here in this next 5 minutes or so, and give you a resource. So what you can do is, if you're on YouTube, I would just take a screenshot of this. Screenshot this and go make a version of this on a spreadsheet or on your whiteboard, or draw it out on a piece of paper or whatever it is, because you're going to want your own. You're going to want to have flexibility to make this whatever you want to make it. Okay. If you're on the podcast, I'd encourage you, go to the YouTube channel, find me, Trevor Mauch, Mauch, and look up this episode, the RACI method, RACI, and you'll find this screenshot and go execute it. Okay. So you can see on the left side, we have the functions of the business mapped out for a wholesaling business in real estate. Okay. We have leadership, we have lead generation, we have acquisitions, dispositions, finance, and ops and admin. Now, within each one of those, we have some of the primary responsibilities. Under leadership, there's company vision, there's company strategy and plan, there's brand. Under leads or lead generation, there's marketing strategy, organic SEO, paid media, content, lead management, and follow-up. Under acquisitions, there's deal evaluation, seller negotiation, contracts, and seller coordination. You can keep on going down the line and just see and recognize how we're mapping out what are all the major parts and things that need to be owned to keep the business going. The very first thing I would do is, once you have that drawn out, go to your team that works right around you, where you're having the challenges of ownership, or you want to make things more clear, and have everyone have their own copy of a RACI worksheet, and tell everyone, hey guys, I see a real opportunity in helping us get more clear on who owns what and where you guys want me involved and where I want to be involved. And I think it's going to really help us create an amazing plan for empowerment. I can make sure you guys are equipped with what you need to succeed and crush it. And you guys are very clear where I want to be involved, and we can map a plan to help you grow and help me step out of things and help you step into things. Okay. Cast the vision for how this is going to help them grow their career, how this is going to help them step into more ownership and more opportunity, and how it's going to help you as well be a better resource for them. But I would say, I want you guys to go through these functions that they're involved in. It could be the marketing team, have them go through the marketing functions and say, mark down who you think is responsible, like who's responsible for doing the work with each one of these. And I want you to mark down who you think is accountable, the person ultimately that can make the final decision on this, or that has veto power, or that's responsible for making sure that that's successful. Okay. And then mark down if there's anybody that you think that you have to consult with, or that is available to consult with, and mark down anybody you think might need to be informed about this. What you're going to find is there's going to be a disparity. Okay, there's going to be a disparity likely if you're having challenges in your team where you think that you own something and they think they own it, or you thought that they knew that they owned this thing and the ability to make the decisions on it, but they're like, no, I don't think I can make the decisions on it. You're always the one who comes in and makes those. And I've experienced those. So once you find those disparities, those are the opportunities. Sit down with the team and say, okay, I understand now where each one of us are coming from and where the challenges are. Now let's write down a version of the RACI matrix that is a snapshot in time of the truth of where things truly are today. And that's where you have to make hard decisions. Okay, I understand. I thought that they knew that they owned it, but I understand that they don't know that. So right now in today's world, I'm going to write down that I own this, but it's my job now to work with them to successfully transition ownership of that. Okay. So you're going to have a list of these things here. Many of these things, like I said, you might have your name on both responsible and accountable, nobody on the consultant or informed, and that's fine. Okay, but your aim with the RACI matrix is always to move to the right. And what I suggest doing is every single quarter, I'm going to pull up the RACI matrix and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go, okay, where am I on the responsible side of things down here? Where am I on the responsible column where I'm doing the work and it drains my energy that I want to replace myself in? This goes back up to the drip matrix. And let's say I'm responsible for marketing strategy and I'm really needing to step into another part of the business and I can do strategy, but man, responsible for putting it together and putting it under the document and communicating. I'm not good at that and drains my energy. I need to hire a marketer. Or maybe I've got an amazing marketer here that I see the opportunity to step into to learn that and transition that to them. Okay, so it might be me here right now, both on accountable and responsible, but I'm going to go like this. I'm going to mark this a green. I'm going to go, yep, I want to move myself out of responsible to accountable only, and I'm going to move in Mark here. I really see Mark as an opportunity to step into that. I'm going to go have a conversation with Mark, cast the vision with Mark now, and then what we do when we're trying to move out of responsible to accountable is usually that's a process. Okay, usually it's a process and train. We need to create a clear process, documented process, and successfully train and hand off and have them shadow you doing it. You shadow them till you're confident. Successfully train that off. Now, my favorite method is called my repeatable process builder that I teach to my Epic members. Just go to carrot.com/epic. If you are in one of our industries we serve and you qualify, you make at least $200,000 a year and you want to grow your business with more confidence, check it out and apply. But in the repeatable process builder, it truly is a transition. It's not just us sending them a process and saying, hey, you're good to go and kicking them on the butt and out the door. We need to truly coach them. When we don't, like I have done so many times incorrectly, we end up having the same challenge. Okay, next now, as you go, let's say Mark owns that and he's crushing it and you're now not responsible for that, but Mark is responsible for that. Okay, and you are the person that is accountable. Let's say you're growing and you're moving and shaking and now you're adjusting and you're moving to another part of the business. You know what? Now I'm ready to actually move out of being accountable for the marketing department. And I want to move to be consulted now because I'm buying a company. I'm moving up to this role. You know what? I think Mark can do this. I think Mark has the potential for this. Mark that green the next quarter or 2 quarters out or whenever it is and say, okay, I'm going to transition my way out of this. I'm going to help replace myself there so I can put myself in a different spot. Where we do that now, to move out of accountable, we need to document principles. We need to document what are the guardrails of how we think. Okay, to move out of the responsible or the doing it, it is documenting what to do during the process. To move out of accountability on it, we need to document how to think. Okay, how to think. So this is what to do. This is how to think. And it's a big difference. So sit down with Mark and say, hey, Mark, let's talk about how we think about strategy, how we think about setting goals, how we think about these things that are important around the strategy. What do you look at, Mark? Well, here's some of the things I do. And then create a written set of principles on how you want them to think about the marketing strategy, the guardrails. It might be certain metrics. It might be an LTV to CAC of 4-to-1 or better, and these other metrics that they've got to hit. And you want to make sure that they have these 5 things that are always in a strategy. Just work with them to create those principles of how to make an amazing strategy and set tight goals. And then over here on consulted, you say, okay, Mark, now I'm going to move to consulted. You own this. I've got confidence in it with you. We've worked together on a strategy or two and you're set, man. You're running this. I'm off over here now. We need to communicate with them when and how we want to be consulted. Okay. You could say, Mark, great. You're running this on these things here. When we're working with partners, the high level partners that are above this level, or when we're working on brand, I want to be consulted on any big changes there. And here's what big changes look like. Or if we're working on with a client over $10 million and I want to be able to be one of the people involved in those $10 million partner conversations. Okay. So create the clarity, how you want to be consulted and what that communication looks like and when. Okay. So now let's say you keep on growing and now you're in consulted, but now you go, man, yeah, I'm growing even more. And I see opportunity for Mark to grow and the team to grow. I'm going to step out of this because Mark now is an expert and he's hired other experts in this. And I'm just going to move to be informed because I'm focusing on other parts of the business. What we need to do there now, it's a communication thing again. Okay, we need to say, okay, Mark, now you've been doing an amazing job at driving strategy. You hired a great team underneath you to own accountability and to drive the results and the efforts, and you're doing a great job there. I feel confident now that you guys don't need me to be consultant in these things. We've trained them in, we've built that skill set. I'm going to move to be informed now, Mark, so I don't need to be consultant on these things anymore. I've got confidence. Here's how I'd like to be informed. I want to get a scorecard update weekly with these things in it. I want to get a monthly report on these things, and I want to have a quarterly session with you where we dive into these things, and let's map out together, Mark, what that quarterly session agenda might look like. Now, if we hit any spots like this that might be a problem and these core metrics go beyond this threshold, I want to be informed when that happens and what your plan is and how much time you need to get through that, what resources you need. Okay, that's how I want to be informed. Is that clear, Mark? Yep, awesome. Write it down. You got it. I have confidence in you. So now, unless you bring a problem to me, I'm assuming everything's nailed. We good? Great. So that's the way that the RACI method works. Now, is it deep? Is this delegation at the 301 level? Heck yeah, it is. But once we get out of just delegating basic tasks and we start delegating accountability and ownership over metrics, that's where it gets hard. And that's where the RACI model can help. So I'm going to break it down for you guys and finish up here. First of all, we need to be insanely clear on all the responsibilities and the functions of the business. Write them down. Okay. Number 2, audit who owns what. What does everyone think everybody owns right now? And then let's create the centralized current snapshot of what actually is owned and where. RACI, responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Okay, next then we need to prioritize quarterly. We need to use that drip matrix and say, what are the things that drain my energy but drive the business forward? Pull up the RACI and look at yourself starting in the left side of the RACI and say, what's the next thing I want to move to the right on? And then follow that process to move to the right on that based on, is it a process? Is it principles? Is it communication of how, when? Is it communication of how, when? Okay, do that every single quarter and you're going to continually delegate effectively with confidence and step into the things that give you energy. And then we just need to train and replace ourselves in those areas and not abdicate. That's something I've done famously over the years is put them in, set goals. Hey, you need me? I'll be over here. Bam. And then I'm off to the races. I didn't truly transition, didn't truly get clear on ownership, didn't truly get clear on how I wanted to be consulted or when or where or how I wanted to be informed. And that's what creates the challenges in the mistrust in the team. And like I said, I've gone through it repeatedly. So having this process is something I continually go back to. And I'm even doing it this week with one of my teams. This is something I'm still doing today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is actually from one of my Epic Impact sessions every single week. We have a training session and we give the playbooks and the templates to our Epic members as a part of that program. So if you are in the real estate industry or in the home services or construction industry, go to carrot.com/epic and apply. If you're doing at least $200,000 a year, we can help you grow that business of freedom and impact and help you delegate more effectively when delegation doesn't work. So hit subscribe, guys. If you like this type of content on YouTube, just pop a comment in the comments box if you're enjoying it. And if you like this style on the iPad, I'll keep doing it. And if you're enjoying this podcast, let me know on Instagram or give me a rating and review, y'all. I would love, love, love it. I read every single one. That payment would just give me joy to know that you're getting value on the other end of this. I have an amazing rest of the week, and we'll talk soon.